All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. And once again, this is GameVidExpo. This is gonna be our second panel for today. We got the awesome Shibi and Hundar coming up, but real quick, just want to let you guys know that over in the signing area, Total Biscuit will be doing signings for this next hour. So if you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, definitely check him out before this hour's up. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and introduce our guests. Can tell us a little bit about themselves.
Yeah, and so whenever we do these panels, we like to give you guys a time in the beginning just to, do a quick little introduction before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff. So can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, you want to go first?
Sure. So I'm Shibi. Go by Shibi2142 on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of good stuff. Something that's really important is having consistent branding. So if you're going to pick a name, you should just go with it on everything. So that's just one piece of advice. But anyways, that's me. I work at Machinima. I've been there for, I think, 2 years and a few months now. And I've been on the Machinima Realm team, so here with Brett for about a year.
Yeah.
And so work there full time. We both live in Los Angeles. And I'm the channel manager of Realm, so I deal with like the budget and the directors and just make sure the channel is operating at, total functional, high-end, everything's set right, hopefully. And then Brett here is my partner in crime as far as keeping the channel top-notch.
Yeah, I'm Brett, aka Hundar. I've worked for Machinima for 3 years. I started off as a host. I still do a lot of on-camera stuff, but sort of for Machinima Realm, it's sort of moved more into the development side. Like, we sort of work together, kind of figure out what shows, what series we want to pursue, do a little bit of writing for some of our animations. Yeah, we are a team.
Yeah, so it's just a two-man army right now, and we try to hold it down and have some fun.
Yeah.
And
the Realm team has gone through a lot of iterations in the 3 years since I've worked on it, but we're doing all right with 2.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with Machinima Realm, we do a lot of League of Legends content right now, but also we're big in the MOBA scene, obviously. So we're dipping more into Smite as we get the audience more familiar with the game.
Yep.
And then we've messed around with a little bit of Dota here and there, and then we're also really excited about Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
And Infinite Crisis and whatnot, but
well,
we're looking out for WildStar. That'll be coming out soon, and so we're kind of in that MOBA, RPG, a little Hearthstone here and there.
heavy PC gaming for sure.
Yeah,
so
PC and indie titles for sure.
Yeah.
So, at least, I know when I first, even before I met you guys, when I first kind of saw the Machinima Realm channel and kind of understood what it was, it always seemed like the more RPG centric channel on Machinima, to me at least.
Yeah.
So I'm just myself kind of curious to know, what's some of the, your favorite, I guess, RPGs of, all time, growing up? What's a RPG that you kind of, spent a lot of time with or really, gave you some really cool gaming moments?
I mean, Brett's been on Realm longer than I have, so if you want to...
Well, I owe everything in my current career path to World of Warcraft. When I actually have a film background, and so I went to film school, and I was out in Los Angeles just sort of, doing that life, just on the hustle. And I was between seasons on a show I was casting for Spike's Deadliest Warrior. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that show, but I worked on the casting for that show. So I've had a totally weird career, but I was between seasons where, there's just breaks where you're just sort of like, well, I hope season 3 starts soon so I can pay the rent. And I was like, oh, and it hasn't. Ooh, and it hasn't. And so I was just playing World of Warcraft just all day. I was running a raiding guild, and I was just like, well, this season has to start. And so at the time, Machinima was some of my friends were working there already, and they were like, oh, we need a host who knows the RPG scene. And I was like, well, that's all I'm doing right now, so of course. And I auditioned, and I got the job. So you never know. I mean, if your parents tell you that gaming isn't, it worked for me. So as far as classic RPGs, though, I've been a fan of the Final Fantasy series for sure. I think Final Fantasy VII kind of blew my mind in a big way. When I first got that, I bought my friend's dad's copy for $10 that he sold me for PC. It was super weird, but amazing. Jeez.
Was World of Warcraft the first video on Realm, or was that Minecraft?
I think World of Warcraft was the first video on Realm when we started. Yeah, definitely it was a different space 3 years ago, and World of Warcraft was definitely something we had a lot of focus on early on. RuneScape was there.
Yeah,
I kind of
RuneScape.
love RuneScape. RuneScape's is what it is. It's sort of.
Never played it, but
I was a real troll. I mean, before I really kind of took a lot of, I think, like, before I understood the scope of RuneScape, I thought it was just kind of like for fun. So I would like lead people out into like.
PK 'em.
Yeah, exactly. There was a whole lot of like, hey, come help me fight this demon that doesn't exist, so I can kill you out in the middle of nowhere. It was just, but you know, that was back when like you would lose your stuff forever, and so I did that quest for like the rainbow boots or whatever, and it immediately died, and it's just like, what am I doing? But yeah, what about you? You have a Final Fantasy background, right?
Yeah, so I played a lot of Final Fantasy 11, which was the online one, during my, I think it was like 8th grade, freshman year of high school. And I lost 2 years of my life to that game. Just grinding so hard, and there's something about it that just kept sucking you back. You just want to keep playing and try to kill like the next boss and like level up your guy and try to get better gear.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd say that was like my MMO RPG experience. But I think my favorite RPG of all time, I think it was the Game Boy Advance Golden Sun. I like that one a lot. That game was great. And then Skyrim was obviously beast. So.
I also like a lot of roguelikes too. Like I'm really into that. I'd like to give a shout out to a game called Red Rogue, which is like one of the best indie games I've ever played in my life. And it basically only exists like if you just like search for the guy's site who made it and then download it. But it's incredible. Like he packs so much story into such like organically into this. I feel like I just wanted to give that a little love.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Hunter, I know that you kind of elaborated on this just now, but I know that there's so many people out there who have this enormous love for gaming, but they're kind of wondering, all right, how do I actually turn this love into something I can make an occupation out of? So I know you kind of elaborated on it, but Shibi, how did you go from being, just a normal guy, playing a lot of games, to making it what you're doing full time?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Talk
both
about
had-
your major. What's your
we
major?
both had very interesting paths, so I guess I'll go through mine. I went to school, went to college in University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, so I was a Golden Gopher. And my major was, I guess, biology. And then my minor was history of medicine, and I was planning on going to med school and going into radiology, like taking x-rays and all that, because I think that's really cool. I like technology, I like medicine. I think the human body is extremely interesting, and you can always learn and perfect your craft, and it would never be ending. It's always getting better and advancing. So I think that's like, I really like that. It's not, oh, here's some kind of field of medicine that's the same and you just kind of grind that out for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with x-rays and all that, it's really cool what they can do now. There's like motion, like fluid x-rays. They can like swallow something and see it go down, and it's really cool. So I mean,
You're still following this, it sounds.
yeah, I mean, if YouTube ever burned down in flames, which I mean, no one knows, the site changes so often, I would definitely consider going back to school and going that route. But anyways, once I graduated, you have a lot of time in your hands.
Yeah.
And I was looking for mom and dad real jobs, quote unquote. And I just wasn't finding anything that I was really digging, not as far as like working there or starting. It was just like applications and reading the descriptions. Like, I think I'm better than this. Like, I don't want to do some like assistant work or something like that. Like, I want to like get my hands wet or hands dirty and like get in there.
Like
and,
blood?
Yeah.
You wanted to do surgery?
Anyways, like I wanted to do more than what they were offering as far as like the medical field. The requirements are so high. Like you have to have 5 years experience for an entry-level position. It's like, what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like how is this possible?
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was struggling with that. Well, not struggling. I wasn't not enjoying that that grind. And basically, I was doing YouTube on the side as a passion project, just kind of for fun as a hobby. I started my channel November 17th of 2007, I believe. So my channel's been around for a long time.
Yeah,
And I was probably doing like a video like every month, on and off, like nothing too crazy. But once I graduated, I really had a lot of time on my hands. And I started doing more and more videos, and like, wow, people are actually watching these. That's kind of interesting. I was doing a lot of Team Fortress 2, Battlefield. Battlefield 2142 is really where my channel started. That's where 2142 comes from in my name.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic game. Titan mode is the best. But basically, I just took it more seriously, put a lot more time into it. And eventually, I saw Machinima had a partnership program, or part of the network, where you can start monetizing your content. and you get basically Google puts ads in front of your videos, which is cool. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. Like you can get paid to like kind of do this, and like the money wasn't crazy, but it was like good enough that like, hey, maybe I don't need the quote unquote real job right now, and just kind of do this and see where it goes. So I put more and more time into it.
Did you tell your parents that?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to mom and dad for being supportive.
Yeah.
Like I was a big gamer growing up, and I mean, obviously still did my school stuff. You know, try to stay bright, stay sharp. But you know, it's all a balance. And I think that's really important. Is if you're a gamer, you just have to balance it. Like social life, don't lose yourself like 12 hours a day. That's really
World of Warcraft.
As far as like high school, middle school, college, I mean, if you're going to do that route, definitely balance your life out as far as making sure you're not overdoing any particular aspect.
Yeah.
But anyways, I got the partnership, which was really cool at the time, or it still is. And the channel kept just growing, you know, gradually. Eventually, I think around 10,000 subscribers, it really like there's like an exponential curve where it just kind of grew, like 25,000 subs, 50,000. Like, wow, things are really moving.
Yeah.
My lease for the house I was living at in Minneapolis ended, so I moved back home with mom and dad, just temporarily trying to figure out what I was doing with life. So once again, shout out for them being supportive. That was really nice of them. So I was just hanging out at home, trying to figure out what my next step was, and still, you know, seeing what was going on with YouTube. And I saw one day on Twitter that Machinima, one of the guys there, was taking resumes for a recruitment position, so like looking for talent on YouTube and finding cool channels, getting them to join the network. So I'm like, no, they don't want me. I'm just some guy live in Wisconsin now and just doing silly videos, you know, whatever, like talking about hats on Team Fortress 2 and like blowing people up with rocket launchers. So I sent in my resume. One thing is definitely keep track of your experience. Another life advice is just keep your resume up to date. If you need help with it, hopefully mom and dad are there, or friends, or someone, guidance counselor, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, resume is important. So I sent that in, and then I got a Skype call a couple days later from Optic J and Rishi, and we're basically like, we want you. How soon can you start? I'm like, wait, are you guys offering me a job? Like, what is this? Yeah. I'm like, sure. So then kind of took a week to get ready, and then packed up for the next few days, and then can move my whole life out to Los Angeles. And from there, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, as far as that topic, I guess, of like how to turn a love of games into, you know, something that is sustainable career-wise, I think it's just like a lot of people sort of, they're trying to think like, okay, well, I love this, but like, how do I make this function? But I think it's just like, if you can teach yourself, the more tools you can teach yourself, and the wider your skill set can be, then the more opportunities you'll be able to sort of jump on. Like, for what it was worth, film school was like, okay, well, I'm comfortable in front of the camera, which is good, and I could edit, which was good, and I could shoot things. So it's like, oh, well, if I had been actively seeking that, I would have been like, well, maybe I could shoot a video for like a, you know, an online video game publication, or I could be a host, or I could edit my own gameplay videos. But the more options, like film school for me was a really good, helpful thing for that, just because I was forced to have so many usable things within the industry I was sort of pursuing. So, you know, we've talked to a lot of people here who are sort of looking for ways in, and like, you know, oh, you've got a background in like sound. Well, it's like, okay, show off how you can, you know, totally rework the sound for like a, you know, a video game trailer or something like that, and then those types of things. So there's a lot of, if you can sort of approach it from a creative thinking way, where it's like, how creative can you be with like what's essentially like a pure love, you'll sort of be able to find your way through that a little bit better, I think.
Yeah, so as far as getting into the industry, there's no set path as far as I'm aware.
Clearly.
You don't go to school to do it, at least when I was. There's no like, I want to major in YouTube. Like it's not really how it works.
There
so.
might be now. I'm sure there's some like liberal arts colleges that have that as a major.
Schools are kind of opening up, being more open-minded, so it's definitely a less traditional route. I mean, if that option's out there, it might be something to pursue. But at least for me, it was. There was an opportunity. I tried to capitalize on it. And just went out of my comfort zone to just literally, like, it was a 36-hour drive or something, packed up all my stuff in my SUV and just did it. And it's been so worth it. And I mean, obviously very scary. Once again, mom and dad were very supportive, and just kind of went for it.
Yeah, I think when the call comes, having the bravery, I guess, to sort of be like, all right, I'm jumping into this and not being like too trapped in like your comfort zone. Like it's
Right.
just, it's important. Same for moving out to like Los Angeles or whatever. And also it's like, I mean, it is helpful, I think, to be close to whatever it is you want to do. And for me, it was like, well, I need to be able to be close and network and live, or even just know what's around me in Los Angeles, just because I knew so much stuff was out there. But if there's an area where you know there's a lot of game developers, or depending on what you're trying to pursue, I think trying to do it long distance is a very difficult game. I was trying to do that before I moved there, and it's just like it wasn't happening. So.
Well, I can tell from just what you guys have said so far that you're doing what you love, and like things that you were doing already, sort of, and now you're doing it professionally. What sort of keeps you guys like coming back? Like, what do you look forward to every time you come into work? You're like, oh, I can't wait to work and do like X.
So, like, what makes us want to go to work every day?
Yeah.
I guess the thing I really like is that YouTube is always changing, for better or worse, and it keeps us nimble, and that just keeps it interesting. It's not like you go into work every day and you know what the deal is, and like you can't really advance or continue or learn or anything. YouTube's always learning, trying to make the content better. New games keep coming out. You work with new content creators, either really big, really small. So there's always something to do, and that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's half just gratitude that I'm not carrying bags of garbage off film sets and spilling them on myself. That just sort of, I'm like, yeah, I will go to a nice office and work.
I guess on my end, I've never really had a post-college, once again, real job. During like high school, I worked a little bit for the Green Bay Packers in like the locker room and the practice field.
Really?
Yeah, I mean that's really cool, but that wasn't like a full-time thing. It was kind of like more summer stuff.
Yeah.
And then I did some like research with a buddy at a local college on like fish parasites. I don't know, it was weird, but a lot of fun.
I learn something new about you every day.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
But yeah, anyways, I wasn't doing anything else at the time as far as. Man, I'm like really thankful on this end because I'm not doing X and Y now. But yeah, I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity and just try to make the best of it. And
Yeah, I was just all about that hustle. So it was there were some lean years of like El Pollo Loco, dollar menu, like all right, but I don't know. I think now the way that everything's sort of meshing together at this point, where it's like video games and like the film industry and storytelling. From my end, there's just a lot of interesting creative work being done and a lot of lines being blurred. That's sort of, I'm interested in seeing like video content from creators that are sort of blurring the line between traditional, like, to have video game content, it has to be one of these, 4 categories. People are really blurring the lines, and like shout out to our friends, the Creatures here, like who have always been really good about sort of pushing that, like storytelling and machinima and things like that. And so even on my end, when I'm like writing for our animations and stuff, it's just kind of like, how can we do things that are creative and fun that people haven't seen? So it's an interesting conversation to have every day at work, with the larger sphere.
yeah, there's always something new, and that definitely keeps it interesting. And we have to play games at work here and there, and because we have to know what we're doing. You can't just be like, I'm going to upload League of Legends videos. Like, you have to know the game, because that game is so deep, and the audience is vast and very critical at times. So we dabble, and we're able to test stuff and play and mess around. So I mean, that's also really refreshing. Like, hey, I'm gonna jump on this game for an hour. Like,
it is sort of a dream job where your boss walks by and you're just playing League of Legends at your desk and you're supposed to be doing it. I mean, like, you can't really say anything. It's like, it's going in. I'm making a video. I'm making a video.
I'm recording.
Yeah, I'm recording. Could you leave, please? I'm recording.
Boss, I don't want to talk to you right now. Please leave.
Yeah, there's a certain boldness that.
Yeah, so, I mean, that keeps it fun. And Brett's really fun to work with, and a lot of people at Machinima are awesome, and everyone's like young, and for the most part, and except for Brett. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by young bloods, but it is a good crowd and it's a good team, and I love working with Shibi. Like, it's chill and it's fun, and I enjoy moments where Shibi tells me he's never really watched The Simpsons, and I go, how is that possible? How is that even possible?
I was on that.
It's almost as old as you are.
Like Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh life.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have clearly covered a vast array of games. I know earlier you were saying that, earlier your focus was on World of Warcraft, and then now you said that you're focusing more on MOBAs. In terms of choosing what you're focusing on at the current moment, what's the thought process that goes into that?
Well, it's pretty organic, to be honest. I mean, as far as the channel is concerned, it's just sort of as much as we'd like to predict things, like a lot of it is just like sort of watching it sort of blossom on its own. So from World of Warcraft and that sort of, and I'm trying to think what else we had on in those early days, but just like grounded very much in like RPG MMOs, and then sort of Minecraft came, and that really sort of
That whole like sandbox was crazy.
it just swept, and people just like the differences between people, what people wanted to watch suddenly, and it just took over. And then then suddenly League kind of started doing the same thing.
So then, yeah, the channel, at least start of 2012, was like half Minecraft, half League, maybe a sprinkle of Skyrim here and there. Or,
Yeah. And two very different sort of, I guess, audiences there. We're just sort of tolerating each other's existence. But,
yeah.
But then, yeah, I think League, we sort of made a conscious decision to shift. I felt like just all the buzz, MOBAs in general and stuff, and wanting to pursue sort of all the interesting things we'd heard about from other games like Smite and some others like Strife and other upcoming things. So, I don't know. It's just sort of the conversation with the audience, both in terms of like what gets views, but also directly engaging them and being like, what do you want to see more of? And like, we like this type of animation based on this, but we don't really care about this type of stuff anymore. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. And then just sort of personal interest. I guess being such a hardcore MMO player, sort of taking on a whole new space of like, I was resistant to really kind of embracing MOBAs at first. So I was like, I got to learn a whole other game and a whole other.
Yeah, I mean, totally. When I first joined the Realm team, or at least I sat next to Antos and Joel and Alex. Basically, I'm like, man, that game looks dumb. Like, click, 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 click. They're showing me Diablo 3 before it was released. I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, clicking around a move, like, WASD. I'm a big shooter fan. Like, that's the master race. Like, that's the best. Clicking is so dumb. Like, this game sucks. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Anyways, I was extremely resistant. And then once we moved into our office room, so we were kind of in the bullpen, or at least I was. We moved into our office where ETC is now. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna try League, install it, try MOBA. I'm just like, oh my god, like it's just the mechanics are brilliant and it just makes sense. And I was playing a lot of Smite, where WASD Master Race, and like that just hit home for me. So I think that was my first step to like really opening up and like, all right, I'll try the click-based MOBAs as well. And
Smite's a great gateway drug for traditional MMO players, I think.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was
or
like,
shooter fans for sure.
Or shooter fans,
because it's like all skill shots. So.
Yeah. So it then made me be like, oh, it could still feel like what I love, but also like teach me sort of how to operate in that new, like, oh, lanes? There are lanes? Is that
like there's a tower? Like, why is it
Is that like a
killing
raid?
me? Yeah.
But yeah, you really embraced it. We were like, back when we were still like leveling in LoL, you were just like, boop, 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 boop,
Just boosting
maniac.
Master Yi style.
Yeah, you were mad boost. You were doing that like Sona thing.
Yeah, you bot game with Sona.
Yeah.
Yeah, and IP boosting and all that. Yeah, I think I hit 30 in like a week or
It was
something.
absurd. It was so absurd.
So I just wanted to get all my runes and pages and all that. So.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, interesting monetization of that game as well. That's a different topic. But anyways, yeah, Smite was definitely from the shooter aspect. That was kind of my gateway to opening up and blossoming to new opportunities and being open-minded and trying new things. And
Yeah. I think that's important too for people who get so locked down and like, I'm only this kind of gamer. It's like you never know like the kind of life you could be having. And when I finally embrace MOBAs, like it's just, I just love it, and it requires so much less of my time. Like I'll always love World of Warcraft, like, but like, not spending my entire Tuesday night in a raid waiting for someone to show up. You know what I mean? Like there's little things where you can get your life back through like 30, 40-minute matches that like I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, I definitely think the MOBA game mechanics and just overall thought process will replace the MMO.
We
we'll
have
see
to be
that
political.
But I think
we
so.
welcome all the upcoming MMOs, but I think like I don't know. There's definitely aspects of it that you see like I feel like the future.
Yeah, as far as competitive gaming for sure. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's one thought. But.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I know that Machinima has lots of different channels associated with it. You guys once again are more the RPG centric. Have there been any like notable or any favorite moments that you guys have interacted with, like say the Respawn guys, and like done any sort of like contest or something like that you just really stood out?
I guess when I first started Machinima, Hutch, Nanners, and Sark were still there, and just meeting those guys, like the godfathers of OTube, like Real OG, like dudes, they're real cool. Obviously, you guys know C Nanners, I hope. Hutch, legendary. Mr. Sark, great guy. So meeting and working with those guys for the small amount of time they stuck around, before they went on and did their own things. I think that was probably one of my favorite aspects of just like total shell shock. I was brand new. And then as far as favorite moments for Realm, I mean, going to the tournaments we go to, a lot of fun. The trips, meeting you guys, interacting with fans and viewers, and I guess that's all very humbling and very gratifying. But
Yeah.
as far as like favorite moments at work, it's I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, like when I started coming into the sphere too, where it's like, okay, I was again like out of the film world, and then being like unemployed, and then like, oh, here's your job, make this show for Machinima Realm. It's a YouTube channel, and like, I'm like, oh, I wasn't in that space. I wasn't that aware of sort of what was blowing up on it. I learned quickly, but it was sort of like, okay, I put myself out there, absorb that first blow of here's the internet, here are negative comments, here's like, oh God, it's gonna be like this. But Sark and Hutch, I always remember, like they came up to me after that first episode and were like, hey, like they didn't have to be nice on any level, but they made like a whole point of coming over and being like, yeah, we like that first episode, like welcome, like, and that stuck with me. They're just like really, really good guys from like day one. Like I met them, like just amazing. Yeah, Adam Nanners, like totally good guy, and just the whole team. Like I love working there now with like the IG team, like Bruce and and Adam and.
Yeah,
Everybody.
meeting Adam Kovic was very cool. Like the Dead Pixel,
Kale,
that was legendary.
They're just fun. They're a fun group to work with. I love traveling, and like the stories of like I had also never traveled really. I had been to Canada when I was like in college, but like you know what I mean. Like I didn't study abroad or anything. So to go to like Gamescom for the first time and like live that experience with them, like it's pretty eye-opening in terms of just like, oh, here's travel, and here's like this insane video game industry that like allows for all these things to happen. Like, so just a lot of, I guess, moments of that, of like, oh wow, like experiencing adventure with a bunch of really cool people.
I guess another notable one for me is when Tom Syndicate, the Syndicate Project, he came to the office, and just like seeing him in person, like holy crap, that's Tom, and like meeting him, and he's just like a really cool dude. And
He is like maybe like the purest ball of optimistic energy I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah.
Like he is just pure, just like, yeah, let's do this. What's up? I'm happy to be here every day. What are we doing? Let's go.
Yeah.
And like that's cool. But he's also someone where it's like he came from that background of like
Yeah.
working at McDonald's, and it's like when you get into an opportunity, it's just like be humble and be grateful, and like just like, and you'll inspire good energy around you. And I think that's super important. So, and yeah, like meeting the fans is so humbling. Like us speaking on a panel right now, it's like super, I'm like we have a Q&A. Like,
Yeah, we're nobody.
We're not. But it's nice that you've put us up here anyway. But it is. It's always cool, and it's always nice to have moments with fans who are like, yeah, like I watch your videos. That still blows my mind that people will,
Yeah.
It's just.
I've seen your videos. Like, really?
Yeah, really? You watched them all? when Alex was like, yeah, I watched that video you put up, Immortal. I was like, what? You watching our videos on Realm? We have other things to do. It's like, it's cool. So.
Well, clearly, just being who you guys are, you've had so many different experiences as you were just talking about, whether it be by going to events or meeting different people, or even just the feedback that you get online. If you were to look back at yourself, years ago, before all of this happened, if there's one thing you could say, or just something that you've learned that you wish, your younger self would have known, is there something that sticks out to you?
I mean, I wish I started YouTube earlier, because the guys that were the first are huge now, regardless if their content was amazing or not. Just they were, setting the pace, and they were out there, and as YouTube grew, they grew, and now they're like building a house for themselves, or like, it's really amazing what people have accomplished. So I did start my channel really early, but I didn't really take it that seriously. It was kind of my first video. All right, here's this story. I played a lot of Battlefield 2142. There was this #1 player in the world. His name was Kane. He's German or something. Anyways, I thought he was a kind of a douche, and I think that he ran some kind of script or program that basically played the game for him all day, and that got him #1 in the world. And I was like number 50 ranked or something. And I wanted that #1 spot. I'd never get it done at the time, but I was like, I wanted to show people that he was phony and that he wasn't really good at the game. He was just kind of cheating in my mind.
Yeah.
So then I think I bought Fraps or whatever the recording program, probably Fraps.
Probably.
And then just kind of jumped in the server he was on. I found it through like whatever website just he AFKs on. And then I joined his team. He was in the Titan. If you guys are playing 2142 players, it's this thing in the sky that the commander sits in. He would just play commander. And I was like prone pushing him, like his AFK body would slowly move out of the Titan shield. And then I switched teams, potted up on the Titan, and then knifed him. Got his dog tag, and then I uploaded that on YouTube. Just terribly edited, copyright music, like all the things you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
The video's no longer on YouTube, obviously, because of the music. And
Yeah.
once YouTube got the Content ID system, like that would not fly.
That's amazing.
But anyways, I put that up because I did not like him, and I wanted to show that he was a cheater. And basically, I did not expect the views or whatever, but it like got a couple of views, and then I like checked like a month later, like 10,000 views, and I was like, oh wow. And then checked back 3 months later, it was like 30,000 views. I'm like, what? People actually watch this stuff? Like, what is going on here? And that was my only video for like a year, and then my second video after that was a Team Fortress 2 live gameplay commentary of me playing like Soldier, like terrible tin can mic. Audio levels were bad. I think I was probably editing this stuff in Windows Movie Maker.
I'm sure, yeah.
And it was just like, you could hear the keyboard clack, 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 clack as you're playing, and the mouse clicking. And I put that up there. I'm like, no one will watch this. This is terrible. Like, I'm decent at the game, but no one's gonna watch this. And then the same thing, like, got some views. Checked out a month later, more views. I'm like, what? Why are people watching this stuff? And then from there, just kind of did a video every month and graduated college and then did it like daily. But,
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to say. I kind of don't know that I would really want to like tell myself anything other than like, yeah, maybe all that time I was sitting around just running that WoW guild, being depressed. Like maybe you could have had a YouTube channel and then put some of that gameplay to something.
Streaming, Twitch wasn't around at that point.
No, it wasn't. So it was right before I think a lot of that kicked off. So, but other than that, it was kind of just a pleasant surprise. I would just say like, hang in there, because there was a point where I was like, I have like 2 weeks before like I will finally have to like move back, because I had done everything I could. My unemployment had run out, and so I would just be like, hang in there, and I did, because you never know. You gotta like be brave, I guess, when you're in that weird space, and just like, you know, do what you can and hope for the best, but don't chicken out and like go home early or whatever, I guess. So that worked out well, but I don't know. For others, I would say more for others, just like,
Yeah.
You never know. You never know. You really never know. And it happens every day for like a lot of these content creators. And like, again, like from Machinima, like seeing people like Sly Fox and like Sky and Cupquake. Like Cupquake now is so amazing. And she's like this empire basically. But I remember when it was like, she would submit World of Warcraft videos on her troll, you know, and it's like, you can build something amazing for yourself, but you just have to like do the work and like put in the time and like, but it happens. Like, and look at her now. Her views are incredible. So
Yeah. She's got a big audience.
yeah.
So
So I'm proud to have friends that have, I feel like I can say, you know,
Yeah.
have made it, so.
So yeah, if I could tell myself something, I would be do this YouTube thing and, you know, take it seriously, invest some time into it. But I mean, it's too little too late at that point. But you can, I mean, to this day, you can still jump on YouTube and, you know, create a brand, create yourself.
It's not too late for anybody.
you?
It could
Yeah.
start today. I would say
But,
that. It could
yeah.
start today for you if you're a realist and you're willing to put in the work and not, you know,
Yeah,
take it seriously, so.
totally.
So I heard you guys mention Syndicate earlier, and I would really like to hear, like, on your own free time, like, what YouTube channels do you guys watch as, like, you know, big YouTubers yourselves?
Video Game Donkey. #1 in the world. He is the funniest person who has maybe ever lived.
Yeah, I don't,
To me.
I don't understand how his brain works. That's just so bizarre.
He kills me, man. Every video I watch, I'm like almost in tears. Like I love him so much. Donkey.
I want to.
Where are you?
Yeah.
I make everybody at the office. I'm like, everybody come here. New Donkey video. Watch it. He did a new video. Velcro. Let's watch it.
And since we do so much League of Legends content, we
Yeah.
obviously pretty invested into the game as far as seeing other content creators, what people are doing. So whenever Instalock has a new League of Legends music video, we love those. And
Yeah, they're really funny. Really good.
I guess I'll be keeping an eye on the casual league guys now to see what they're up to, because the editing is insane.
Yeah.
As far as like friends, Germa985, if you guys know him, Star, TF2 buddies, and then other guy named Boo. If you guys remember Boo, he has an incredible voice, and he's a big Smite player, but he's not motivated to make videos, but I love it when he does. And obviously checking in with Nanners and Hutch and Sark to see how they're doing.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of my friends, and especially people who have sort of the same sense of humor as me. Like I tend to watch things that are just more for like the lulz, as I say. But like, so like people here like Gassy, Diction, you know, Renee, all those guys are great, and like the Creatures obviously are still doing amazing stuff.
Totally.
Immortals probably makes me laugh the second most after Donkey, so that's it's good. So.
Yeah.
But you guys picked a good lineup for this expo. So there's a lot of people that I would already be watching are here. So it's nice.
Yeah.
Well, it is getting around the time that we need to wrap up, but before we do, I do want to take questions possibly from the audience, as well as those of you that are watching on Twitch. I am reading chat, so if you guys have any questions as well, feel free to either come up or put it in chat, and we'll ask them.
Totally.
I have a question. Is this working?
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Yep.
I have a question. Do you ever think that, because I mean, I don't really like sports. I mean, obviously we're all geeks here. So I mean, I don't really watch sports on like TV or whatever. Do you ever think like, you know, Twitch or, you know, Machinima will have like a channel on TV? Because that would be awesome. Like, you know, have a league or a Dota or, you know, a championship on TV. Like, I think that'd be awesome.
Totally. I really think the whole traditional TV of like cable box and all that, I think that will be gone eventually, and the world will be video on demand kind of content or VOD, and then like live streaming and people taking the power in their own hands and like doing it themselves and not playing by the rules.
Because that conversation came up a lot, where it was always like, you know, G4 still existed then, and people would be like, well, wouldn't it be cool to have Machinima? But in a lot of ways, they were trying to sort of avoid that traditional model. And even though for a while it was sort of like, oh, it's the new MTV, like when you talk about something, like people need to understand that like people will watch gaming content, like it's a thing, it's not some weird subculture. Like, but I do think, I think what Shibi says is true. It's that it's less that like, oh, there would be a traditional network featuring that, so much as people will just, the worlds will mesh, you know, and like, it doesn't have to be the old system. And people are, and you know, the old giants are fighting to keep that separate, but I think people have proven that like binge watching on Netflix and all these other avenues, like you don't have to, you don't have to get your content anymore the way that the old system dictated. So it's like, I absolutely think that'll be the case, whatever it may be, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
YouTube is dying very slowly. It's dying. It's gonna be gone. I swear. It's like going downhill. And I also have to say, is Donkey here? Like,
I don't know.
I wish it was.
Yeah, if he is, I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, he's an amazing man, but I don't know. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank
Thank
you.
you.
No problem.
Okay, so like you guys said earlier, I know you said you're very PC-centered guy.
Yeah.
I was wondering what your position, I guess, opinion, ideas were on console RPGs like Fallout, Skyrim on the console, other things like that.
Well, I mean, there are PC options to, I mean, Fallout on the PC, Skyrim on the PC, which then you can mod, and I think it's just more snappy and looks better. But I mean, I'm not a console hater or a PC master race elitist in that sense. But I mean, that's just where I'm comfortable at with the mouse and keyboard. And for Realm, I mean, we are mostly PC based, but we have Xbox Ones and
All my
playing
classic
Thief
gaming,
and,
was on consoles. I'm not in any way against it, and I think certainly something like Final Fantasy, where you're sitting there playing it for hours and hours, like you kind of sitting at I played Skyrim on PC, but I absolutely understand like the enjoyment of your couch and being comfortable. So, you know, it's good. I just think it's nice to have options. I always want options. It kind of bugs me when something is like, you know, oh, it's a Sony exclusive and I can only, you know,
Microsoft only or something.
Yeah, it's just like give people options. Let them choose for themselves. And if you want like Skyrim max settings on your God mode PC, then like get it.
Yeah.
But if you
want cows to fall from the sky, you can install that mod. I think
Man,
it's pretty cool.
and the stuff, and that's like that was my whole second life with Skyrim on the PC was like getting into like dev, you know, whatever that I forget what it's called, but just like I would do like low rent machinimas by spawning in stuff and sort of filming them, you know.
Yeah.
So, but you know, if you've got an Xbox, you should be able to have that same like amazing storytelling experience and not have to worry like, oh
Totally.
my God, is this good enough or whatever. So I say keep them coming on both fronts, but I wish developers
I'm
would.
really curious how the Steam box will work out, because that could
Yeah.
set the next generation of consoles. Either that's just what it is, or we'll see. But
Yeah, I'm always for that sort of. again, like the merging of worlds.
Yeah,
Like
open
I
market,
want them
yeah.
to bridge that gap and have it just be like, yes, get the PC, but play on your couch and like live the dream, man, like fully.
Yeah. I mean, as we see with the new generation of consoles, they're more like computers now. So.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
And I don't know. I mean, like, we got the new consoles, but there hasn't been a ton for me to play. I played a little Thief, and you played a little Garden Warfare, but like, I'm waiting, you know. Whereas having that PC, I don't feel like I'm ever really waiting for, you know. There's always something for me to kind of dig in and explore. So that aspect of consoles frustrates me right now. It's just sort of like, you know, there's all the hype train that's just huge and undeniable, and all the conversations you have to suffer because of it. But then you get it, and then it's sort of like, okay, well now what? Let's get into like the meat of like, you know, where PlayStation 3 or whatever was like at the end of its cycle, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Hey guys, thanks for being up there.
Thank you guys for.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you
Yeah.
for being here. Believe us.
Thank you. Don't thank us.
Y'all provided some great insight. And I was just wondering, you touched a little bit on branding. You know, I've got a marketing background. That's kind of
Yeah.
my focus. And for me, it's really hard to understand the consumer. You know, I know it's a lot of people like me, but as far as, you know, what they want to watch and how to, like, I'm not a top 50 player in anything.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, you know, there is some life out there.
Hey, I'm with you. I'm not top anything.
And that's, you know, I see all these guys who are like you know, on top 50, and, you know, they've got all this great content with, you know, they're good at the game. Like, I'm decent at all games, but not really good at any one game, you know.
Yeah.
So how do you find, you know, what brand you have to offer, and how do you, you know, differentiate yourself to offer to the consumer, and how do you know who to offer it to?
So I guess you're kind of touching on two things. One, branding, and two, I guess we'll go on topic two of, I mean, not as far as me, like I'm not a top tier gamer anymore. Like I just kind of dabble here and there. But anyways, YouTube is now personality based. It's not so much like I watch this guy because he's awesome. That's more like Twitch now on streaming. It's you have to be you and just be yourself, be funny, try to entertain people. I think that's really the route. Like if you're not like a professional Call of Duty player, like that's fine, like that's great. It's more personality based that you have to just try to be awesome and like show people that and be yourself. And
Yeah, I think it's the dual-edged sword of sort of where we are now, where it's like there are so many people trying to do it, but at the same time the space is increased so that you don't have to be like, I'm not looking. I don't even know the terminology of like COD gameplay, but like no scope 360 whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can just be funny. Like Donkey, for example. Like I mean, he is really good at League, but like he could just be as funny as he is, and like I would watch his videos. That's not like the selling point in his content. So I think if you've just got a clear sense of your personality and sort of whatever that may be, and then people have sort of those alter egos or whatever you are for who you are on your channel, you know. Just really locking in on that space and then just delivering behind that. Like you don't have to be an amazing gamer, but especially if you've got a marketing background, you can think about like your branding and like how to make this like visually interesting. And I think just taking a survey of a lot of channels, and we do that with like, you know, we're like, oh, how should we do, like end cards for our videos?
thumbnail design.
And we went and looked at like, we looked at Cupquakes and we looked at everybody's and like,
Vice.
yeah, and not even just the gaming sphere, like entities like Vice and stuff like that. It's like, how do they do their stuff? And you kind of just find what feels good for you, and you shouldn't force it, but just knowing the lay of the land and then trying to just like, okay, here's what I like most about everything. And like you say, it's like you are your own audience in a way. So it's like, when I watch this, is this appealing to me? Is this, and a lot of times you don't think about that, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this actually is kind of stupid. Why am I going with this? I was just doing it because.
And if you're playing something, you want to definitely enjoy it. Like play it because it's fun to you, not because it's popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I mean, I get it. But that's another case, I think, where you've got a real background and you can use like real information and studies and numbers, like empower yourself to do that, like, and break into the analytics on your channel and things like that and see, like, we do that all the time, where it's just like you look and you see where people stopped watching and where they clicked out of a video and where views are coming from. Just empower yourself with info. Like, I think that's like number one is like, like anybody can do this, but like you have to embrace like, educate yourself and like be a realist and just be like, I'm going to do that work, not like, why isn't this happening for me? You can have amazing content every day. Amazing content is lost, and like we'll find someone like Casual League who was on our, they were doing incredible work and had like 32 subscribers.
Yeah, when I messaged them.
And they just needed a platform, but like, and now they're off doing their own stuff.
Now Riot's talking to them, so.
So, but it's just like,
crazy.
they were amazing, but I was like, all of your thumbnails are exactly the same. Like, you're so creative, and your whole thing is like all this like super flashy editing, and you're so creative. Like, why are your thumbnails not reflective of that? And so it's like, it's just little things that people, don't always think about because you're just focused on the big picture. But like, just take the time and break it down and deconstruct it, and I think it'll go a long way. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate it, Phil.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything from Twitch
Yeah,
chat?
so from Twitch, we got a question from Twitch user C. Gilmore. They would like to know, you talked about looking at trends of popular games. Are there any big games that may fall out of the circuit and others that will grow?
So is that kind of like when Minecraft was kind of taking its dive on Realm and we doubled down on like the mobile market?
Yeah, I guess so. Just trends in general. And it's just different. It's like your audience is different. Our audience, it just seemed like we were getting a lot more. Viewers were embracing League of Legends over Minecraft, and that was just our audience. It's not necessarily reflective of anything in the larger sense, but for sure on Realm that was clear from the numbers. So, I don't know. Looking ahead, I guess. I don't know. What do you sort of think? I think more MOBAs. I would definitely be watching Smite. I'm definitely excited to see and other games, and there's a lot of others that are in development now that I'm interested to see how.
I really like the community-based, competitive, community-based, but also you're playing PvP. I really enjoy that. But one thing I'm definitely interested to see, for Realm regardless, is when GTA 5 comes out on PC, the mods. That'll be huge on YouTube. And
Inside Gaming owns that too.
Yeah.
They do those videos, and they're so funny too. Those guys are hilarious. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see Call of Duty, and we always have those conversations about what it used to be and what it is now. And we have a channel, one of our sister channels, the Respawn channel. Sort of was in that heyday of Call of Duty, and now it's so what is it now? What are the trends? Is stuff like Titanfall what's necessary? I'm not really into that conversation. I'm not a participant in it, but there's just a lot of those types of changes happening now where you kind of go the old giants aren't necessarily who you can rely on in terms of what am I saying? Go ahead.
I got you. Yeah, it's hard to predict the tastes of the audience and what they'll like, because usually you can play the most bizarre stuff and people will just eat it up. Their upcoming Crawl, we think that's gonna be really cool.
I love that game. It's a game that got the Steam green light. It's called Crawl, and it's just my kind of. Again, I'm a little bit older, and so I'm a sucker for old Super Nintendo pixel graphics, but super violent. You know what I mean? Just and it's the trailer's perfect. You should go look it up whenever whenever. But I don't know. It is hard. It is hard to predict. Binding of Isaac. That's an amazing game, but that blew up, and I remember I had found that before a lot of people, and I was like, my little secret. And then Cupquake was playing it on her channel, however long later. I was like, wow, people just, if it's a fun game, it's. But we're on the side of the indies and sort of,
it's hard to say that Slender Man game that came out, that's gonna be big.
Yeah, right.
You never know. I don't know.
Those are the viral hits, I don't know.
Or Happy Wheels, there's no way you could just play that. I think it's website based, right? You don't download a client, and it's. There's no way you can tell that's going to be huge. It just happens.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know if we really gave a clear answer there. I think MOBAs for sure. I think as much as I hate to admit it, I think MMOs are either going to need a real re-envisioning, or they are going to be kind of going the way of the dinosaur. It's so hard to get people to commit that time.
Right.
And you have people that played EverQuest, and they've got families, and and now World of Warcraft's having that cycle. So it's how do you still give them that experience of I remember going through Plague Lands for the first time. It was in the middle of the day, but I had a day off, and wandering in before I was that level, and all of the zombies, and me being oh wow, I should not be here. And I having never had that experience in a game where I was just free to go and do whatever I want and absolutely get myself into trouble and be that excitement, that gives me goosebumps. That just gave me goosebumps. But so as much as I love that MOBA side, I don't want that to disappear from MMOs, but it's how do you get that in a way that like isn't 12 hours of your day or isn't like log in every night and have
Yeah.
to do this like treadmill of stuff. And
I guess when I was playing a lot of Final Fantasy 11, like riding my chocobo, like the big yellow bird, for the first time, that was kind of your mount.
Yeah.
And like there's all these mobs that are monsters that basically they're super high level. I was just like a little baby character, and if they touch you, you're dead, and you have to go back to your home point or whatever. And like that was, like that'll never be replaced by anything. But having said that, I do think the whole MOBA market can have that as far as like going into the enemy jungle, invading. I'm gonna go steal blue. Like, yeah, for sure.
it's just different. It's
It's
just
different,
different.
yeah.
And I have a lot of like new, different stories. Like the first time, yeah, exactly. Like jungling for the first time. Like, it's always exciting. But I just don't want to lose the best. I think the best of the old world can survive. It just needs like the help of the new, and
Yeah.
people have to not be scared of change, I guess. So.
Well, thank you guys so much for the insight. There's one question that's been asked frequently in
Sure.
Twitch chat. It's not as serious as some of the other questions, but people want to know where your beard of awesomeness went, Hundar.
So, when I started on Realm 3 years ago, like again, those first videos came out, and we were kind of getting a lot of people from the Respawn audience. So in a lot of ways, it was like, "Yeah, COD, bro, what's up? Who's this RPG crap? Oh, look at these nerds!" And I was just like, "Oh God," just every day. So I just stopped shaving, and I grew this beard, and it just became like this like shield where I was just like, no, shut up, get out of here. This is for like, we are the RPG nerds, and I have a Viking beard, and you need to not be here if you can't hang. So like I just grew it, and it got to pretty like epic lengths, but I had it for so long that one day I was like, should I shave? I don't remember what my jaw looks like anymore, and I was like scared to shave. I was like, I can't be scared to see my own face, and so like I shaved it, and I haven't really. I mean, like my girlfriend at the time was probably pretty happy about that, but like. I just haven't grown it back. It's there. It's there. Its spirit guides us, okay? It can always come back. It's not gone. But, I'm just trying to, get a lot less soup stuck on the side of my mouth these days. So, but, whatever. I'm glad you're thinking about it, guys.
Do we have any more questions from the audience for Shibi and Hundar?
I saw my WoW players over there nodding about Plague Lands. You know what's up. That was good.
All right, well, guys, thank you guys so much for the panel, and of course, the audience for your questions. That will wrap up this panel, so thank you guys so much.
Totally. And thank you guys for coming. For
Yeah,
sure.
thank you very much.
Yeah.